Hi everybody, how are you? It's Jay Victoria, the Energy Queen, and I wanted to do a video on this because this came to me today. Honestly, I thought it was really brilliant, and I've never thought about life this way before because I think especially, I talk a lot about feminine energy here, and I talk a lot about obviously energy in general, but sometimes I just see things, and this was something that I just never thought of quite this way, and it's about being in the flow. We talk about, especially with the feminine, wanting to be in the flow. We want to be in that kind of like positive feeling where things are easy and you feel like you're in tune with life and everything is flowing, right? Like that feeling. And I think we all really want that. I'm going to tell you a quick story to illustrate a really important point about this. I clear negative energy, probably, hopefully you know that if you're watching my channel, or if you've been here before. If you're new, welcome. But I see energy visually and I clear negative energy, and I did like a lot of work on myself today, and I felt so much lighter instantly. And when your energy clears, there are so many benefits, but one of them is that your world, like when you have clear energy, you actually see things that may have already been around you, but you haven't seen them. Why is that? Because when your energy gets clearer, your frequency goes up. And you're only really able to see around you the things that are on the frequency you're on. Have you ever heard anybody say this? It's really true, and it's weird to experience, especially when you've lived somewhere and you know your neighborhood, you know your apartment, you know the people or your family. You think you know where you are, but when your energy clears, like you don't realize that when there's negative energy inside of you, it literally blocks your ability to see more clearly things that are at a higher frequency that are literally around you. It's hard to explain, but they're there, and you just don't realize, because everything is its own frequency. So things at a higher frequency, you literally just don't see them, and yet they're still there. And one way I've been experiencing this is by looking up, and I've been honestly looking up more, not realizing when I was in more fear or had more negative energy in me, I would look down a lot when I walked, or I would be thinking about things. And recently I've been looking up, and I've been like, those trees are so big. Like I've never seen those trees, I've never looked up here, and like the tops of buildings, and I'm just like, oh my God, I had no idea. Like I've never even seen any of this. And even like just exploring my neighborhood and being like, I didn't know I lived near here. And I actually walked it felt like 5 minutes today, and I had this gorgeous view of the Freedom Tower here in Manhattan, and I was like, where am I? I had no idea I lived right near the Freedom Tower. Like, what is going on? And yet I always did, but like it's like everything is at a frequency, and so higher frequency experiences, even in the actual place where you live, like you won't even know they're there sometimes until you get your energy cleared, and then you're like, wow, things are actually better than I thought. And this can even be like literally inside your apartment. I don't know, sometimes you just see things and you're like, oh my God, like I didn't even know that was there, in a good way. But anyway, so all that to say that I was walking along in this different part of the neighborhood where I live that I don't usually go to, because again, I didn't even know I lived near this, and I was just having such a good time, and I felt like I was in such a high energy, and when you're in a high energy, you kind of feel like you're floating a little bit, and I felt that, and it was that nice like kind of floaty feeling, and then like this lady kind of like bumped into me a little bit, and I was like, like that's not the flowy feeling. And then I like almost like bumped into something else, like a garbage can. I was like, like why am I like bumping into, I'm in the flow. I don't like, And it hit me, this big thing that I want to tell you that I think is really important for your life. And it all downloaded right when all of this happened. And that's another cool thing about clear energy, is that you get higher frequency ideas and downloads. I never understood this before this happened today, and I can't wait to tell you. So, and thanks for listening and being patient for the nugget of gold I'm going to give you. Being in the flow, when we talk about being in the flow, it's not just the floaty feeling of the beauty of, you know, in that example, me walking down the street and everything's great. Being in the flow includes the bumping into somebody. Being in the flow includes bumping into a garbage can. It includes the moments. True being in the flow is about those things not being wrong. Where you're going wrong, and this isn't just about walking down the street, obviously, it's about living your life. When you're going along in your life and things come up that you feel like that feeling of, like, I don't want that to be happening. Like, why is that happening? The problem is saying it's wrong. It's not actually wrong. That's part of the flow of life. That is the flow. The flow is understanding how to have interruptions and not freak out about them, and to learn how to jump from that back into the flow. Do you understand? The stop and start is part of the overall being in the flow. It's calling that wrong and saying that's not supposed to be happening. That is the problem. Because you're here to learn, you're here to experience. You're here to experience not just flow and happiness. That's what being in heaven is, by the way. If you want to just experience that, well, yeah, you will in heaven. But that's not, we're on earth right now. Babies. Like, what we're doing here is we're having the experience sometimes of being in heaven, that heavenly flowy feeling of good, blah, 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 loveliness, positive energy. But what we also experience is the, like bumping into things that don't feel right. Why do I have that problem? And what you're doing when that happens is learning how to go from that back into the flow. It's part of the flow. It's part of the overall experience. And so none of those things is wrong. But I think when we talk about those things as, I'm having a problem, that's not supposed to be happening. That is the problem. Do you see what I mean? Because problems and issues that you're experiencing are there to teach you how to come back into who you really are, how to jump from that back into flow, back into heaven, back into positive energy. You're meant to go from negative to positive. And that's part of how you learn how to overall be in the positive all the time. You see what I mean? It's like different graduation points where you go like, I don't like this. But I really like this example of me just walking down the street, because it's a metaphor for your life. If you're going along, everything's great, and like, oh my God. But what the feeling was when I was actually going through those motions in that metaphor was that it wasn't wrong that someone was interrupting me. It was just part of learning how to like get back into the flow again from that interruption. Every interruption is going to look different. So that's what you're doing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like none of the problems you're having are actually interrupting you. They're teaching you how to get from whatever that is back into the flow again. And then if you ever meet something like that again, you know how to do it even faster. And every problem or every interruption is going to have a different like way of interrupting you, a different frequency. Do you notice that about life, that you can handle things better now that you couldn't? Like, I always think about how I got bullied when I was 19. I got bullied recently. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it was happening again. I was like, really? Now? But I knew how to handle that interruption so much better because I had already been through it. And same thing with walking down the street. After bumping into that lady, I didn't bump into as many ladies, you know, because I was like, I gotta watch these ladies. I bumped into a garbage can. That was a different interruption. And then I was like, I gotta watch out for those. And so that's what you're doing in life. And so I'm saying, do you feel this beautiful, I hope you feel this peaceful message I'm giving you, that the flow is not, the interruption of the flow is not part of the flow. It is part of it. Learning how to get back into the flow is flow. Learning how to be in flow is flow. It's all part of the overall flow. The flow is not just when you're in the like happy, good feeling. It's about the whole process. And so if something comes up, stop saying it's wrong. Just be like, now I'm just learning how to get from this particular interruption back into the way I want to be. And the cool thing about lessons and learning lessons is that it's all just taking you higher every time. You're building your knowledge every time. You don't lose any of that. So it's not really like flow like this. It's more like flow and then interruption, upgrade, flow, another interruption, upgrade, and then you're going up and up into higher frequencies as you go forward. Makes sense. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have stuff in your life that you want to talk about, I have some coaching and energy clearing slots open right now. If you would like to talk to me, please let me know. I would love to talk to you. You can email me. My email is in the description, or you can also go ahead, book your free 30-minute consults. They're now 30 minutes because I always spend 30 minutes with people. I'm going to make them 30 minutes. So you can go ahead and do that too. That link is in the description. I'd love to talk to you about how it can help. And I'm just going to say it. My work is getting really world class. It's getting really good. And it's always been really good, but it's something I'm really proud of. You know, it's really helping people, and I'm obsessed with it. So thanks for being here, you guys. Love you so much. Bye.